Ah yes, yo chicken bros, what's up? It's your boy Smile here, coming at you with a brand new video. And today we are looking at this article right here. Absolutely no evidence, with the police FBI advocate debunking salacious, not just bad, salacious conspiracy theories about the Nancy Pelosi attack that is pushed by conservatives. And I have a point to make here. Now, number one, I don't agree with the whole idea that the conservatives have made. So far, at least. But the thing is, it's warranted. It is a warranted conspiracy theory because the media isn't asking questions. Let's get into it. Prominent figures on social media, including some of the loudest voices on the political right, are pushing a salacious and false conspiracy theory about the attack on House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband in an apparent attempt to shift the narrative about the assault. Okay. I see what they're saying here. What happened was, they all came out with what they said they were going to do, okay? Everybody came out and said, this is what we're doing with this. And Elon said, hold up now. It isn't some far-right guy. There's a lot more info here that we need to be looking at. And so he linked a bunch of evidence and claims to back up his statement that he was not a far-right person. Mr. DePape, something like that. So I can't say that he is pushing a narrative. He, Elon Musk, Donald Trump, if he ever said anything, all said, well, there's more to the story. And then people who saw, well, look at it like this. The pee-pee was in his underwear. Nancy Pelosi's husband was in his underwear. They was doing something. That's what people had assumed. I don't completely agree with it, but that is what people assumed. Prominent figures on social media, including some of the loudest voices on the political right, are pushing salacious and false conspiracy theory about the attack on Nancy Pelosi's husband in an apparent attempt to shift the narrative about the assault. Can we not call this a narrative? Like, why does everything have to be a narrative? Why don't we just talk about the facts and get down to the bottom of it? I don't want there to be some narrative about everything. We need the facts, we need what happened, we need to know the evidence. And then, if you have two separate interpretations, let people argue it out. The claim that big names like Elon Musk, Donald Trump Jr., and Dinesh D'Souza, no idea who that is, have promoted millions of their followers, Paul Pelosi and the man who attacked him, were gay lovers who had gotten into a fight. Few things here. Number one, that does make more sense than what people are already saying. Like, people on the other side are saying that it's some far-right conspiracy, and that this guy went in to, for lack of a better word, off Nancy Pelosi. Now, you would assume that would sound like crap, and when you look at more into this man, he was mentally ill, and had a bunch of BLM flags, pride flags, things of that nature. Not the most far-right looking guy, by any stretch of the imagination. So, you'd be like, well, how did he get in? Paul said that he was a friend, so what's going on here? Well, people put two and two together, noticed that they were both in their undergarments, that he was called a quote-unquote friend, and thought they were getting into it after a moment. Now, I don't completely agree with this, honestly. I don't. I think possibly because it was 3 in the morning, he was in his bed and in his boxers. And I mean, the other guy is a well-known nudist, so not very surprising he's in his underwear. Don't think that this has anything to do with it, though. The spurious theory traces back to an incorrect early news report. Okay, so incorrect. I want to see some sources here. And a handful of evidence that its proponents have spun wildly out of context. It runs contrary to the explanation police and federal law enforcement have outlined, that the suspect in the attack, David DePape, broke into Pelosi's house and attacked him. Okay, there is fair evidence here. People have been saying, but the glass broke on the outside on the window, because that was the only sign of breaking and entering. People are like, glass doesn't break on the same side that you hit it in, so it had to have been from inside that the glass was broken. This will all depend on whether or not the kind of glass was plexiglass. Now, normal glass, you punch it and it breaks. I've been around a bit of plexiglass. It tends to bend. So if you punch it, it'll bend with your hand. That would mean when you break it, the impact is going this way. The opposite way of where it happens, right? So if you're punching, it goes this way. Well, all that force is going to come back around, and if you punch the plexiglass with enough force, it'll shatter and shoot out that way. That's kind of why people are saying it could have been plexiglass. We don't know. If it's plexiglass, then that makes sense. If it's not, I don't know why it would be on that side. That is a fair question. Anywho, let's continue. There is absolutely no evidence that Mr. Pelosi knew this man. San Francisco Police Chief William Scott told CNN in an interview, As a matter of fact, the evidence indicates the exact opposite. Okay, number one. Let me just throw this out there. He called him a friend. Did anybody else notice that in the phone call? He called him a friend. Sure, you could say he was a mental psychopath. Not Paul, the other guy. And that he was calling him that to try and keep him calm because he could hear Paul on the phone. But, like, what? If that wasn't even true, which some people aren't going to buy that even if it was true, then they're going to be led to think of something else. But the explosion of social media posts discussing this theory shows how quickly conspiracies can spread, and how eagerly some political actors use falsehood to push their agendas, even as violent threats against lawmakers have multiplied in recent years. A conspiracy linked to Nancy Pelosi, who has long been a lightning rod for conservatives and played a starring role in GOP attack ads, was an especially appealing target for right-wing conspiracists. According to Kenneth Miller-Idress, an American university professor who studies polarization and extremism. Okay, so let me throw something out there. There's a reason why not many people like Nancy Pelosi, not even on the left. And I mean, not only that, she has intel on the markets and she is allowed to use the stock market. Or her husband is, for matter of fact. That should be kind of illegal. That's how you're making millions upon millions of dollars. I'm almost certain of that. So here's the question. Here's the question. When people see that sort of rigging, when people see the issue with Nancy and the fact that she has done basically nothing. I mean, she is Speaker of the House, so she can't do much, but still. And then she goes out on a football field or whatever and gets booed to oblivion by people on the left. You'd have to consider maybe not many people like her. And it would be in the best interest of conservatives to make ads saying, "Fire Nancy Pelosi." Because if they were to do that, they might obtain some people from the other side. If that makes sense. We have a population that's unable to discern what is true and what is not. And this spreading misinformation from credible sources undermines that. Miller-Idress said, People are willing to accept conspiracy theories when they reinforce the narrative that they already hold in their head. That's a two-way street there, my friend. That is a two-way street. Let me mention right quick. The right is trying to understand this. I'm trying to understand this whole thing. This is crazy. And I want to mention, I don't like that Paul Pelosi was hit in the head with a hammer. He's a fellow human being. I don't want any harm coming to anyone. Especially from the hands of another human being. That's sad. But when the media doesn't ask questions like they're supposed to do, we don't know what the truth is. And so people go to figure it out themselves with the info they have. Unless you, CNN, you, whatever other spot that does news, answers these questions, you're not going to be liked by people, and you're going to be seen as a hack. That is the problem here. According to police and FBI out of it included the federal criminal complaint, DePape broke into a glass door and Pelosi... A glass door? I was told it was a window. Okay. In Pelosi's San Francisco home. None of us do. None of us do but Paul Pelosi and DePape. None of us know the truth. But if the media isn't asking questions, why shouldn't we ask the questions? Musk deleted the tweet around 2 p.m. later that day, but then it had already racked up more than 28,000 retweets and 100,000 likes. Conservative figures gleefully praised Musk for sharing the post. Elon Musk just posted a link that said Paul Pelosi may have been drunk and with a prostitute, tweeting Laverne Spicer, a former GOP congressional candidate. I have never respected him more than now. Her message was retweeted more than 11,000 times. Jean DePape, the alleged attacker's stepfather, said it was dismaying to see his stepson turned into a character in a conspiracy theory and used as a political talking point. He told CNN he scrolled through his Facebook news feed for hours over the weekend, where he first saw the post claiming his estranged stepson had been lovers with Pelosi. Pretty sick, he said. Okay. Again, why should we trust what CNN has to say? How many times have they pushed fake news? How many times have they pushed false stories? And then you're going to say that everybody else on the right is taking up arms on this story. Sure, they're doing it. You've done the same. Seems a bit hypocritical, if I say so myself. But to state that he shouldn't have ever tweeted this because the stepfather's feelings were hurt is pretty incorrect. If somebody came after me with a hammer, okay, and their stepfather got mad that he was being investigated by normal people, I'd be mad at the stepfather. He's the one that came at my house and hit me with a hammer. I think many people would feel the same way. He did a crime. We need to find out what all happened. David DePape's own social media and blog postings show that he himself was steeped in conspiracy theories in the months and years before the attack. From musings about QAnon to anti-Semitic rants to claims of looming over by the global elite. DePape's post on Facebook from last year endorsed a litany of right-wing falsehoods. He posted multiple videos by MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell alleging that the 2020 election was stolen, linked to websites claiming COVID vaccines were deadly, and shared videos questioning January 6, 2021 attack. CNN reviewed the posts before the social media company took the page down, and several of DePape's relatives confirmed the page belonged to him. Okay, he has those views, sure. But he has the BLM and Pride flag. That's nothing around right wing. And in fact, there are left-wing figures who disagree with the current statements coming out of CNN and places like that. Let me remind you that the left is currently splintering right now. You're having people from the left leave in droves. In freaking droves. There is a possibility that he agrees with all of that right-wing talking point, but doesn't agree with everything the right wing has to say. Not everyone fits into the box of conservative, Democrat. Not everyone fits in it. I don't fit in it. I am probably somewhere in the middle. He could be too. We have independent minds. He may be a madman, but he probably has his own ideas. On other blogs, apparently written by DePape, he also posted an anti-Semitic screed and endorsed QAnon conspiracy theories. Some conservatives' embrace of the gay lover theory has muddled the waters of a story that has led to bipartisan condemnation and sympathy for Pelosi, and distracted from the discussion of how other right-wing conspiracies could have involved violence. Okay. Question. That muddied the water. You're muddying the water by saying it was a right-wing conspiracy. By saying that some right-winger did all that, when there's a lot more nuance here and more ideas. We don't know if he was right-wing. We don't. You can go up and ask him. Give him an interview. We don't know. That's your job, is to find the answers. Milder Idress, the American University professor, said that prominent figures carelessly spreading misinformation can lead to wider impacts on society. It's dangerous because it undermines people's sense of truth and helps them further divorce from reality, she said, in a situation where they spread it further and they pass on. Okay, so that was crazy. An entire nutcase of a story. Let me tell you why I think people are pushing this hard. I mean, CNN is pushing the conspiracy that is a right-wing figure very hard. Gotta be because of the midterms. Gotta be. There's no other explanation here. But I want to thank you guys for watching. This will be a bit of a new way of my doing videos. I'll have the article, gameplay, and face cam up. Hope you enjoy this new look. And I will be going a lot further into the political realm here on YouTube. Simply because Otaku and IGN are going heavily political right now. So that means gaming news is getting so far political, I have to shift to politics. Which is sad. But with all that being said, Yo Man Smile is over and out. Peace.